Hello, hello, hello again. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Stoked Podcast, creative talk with creative people. I am Javon Stokes. This is Jamari Stokes, and we are your hosts for the night. We got a good show coming up today. If our guest ever makes it here, but that's okay. It's happened before. We can definitely vamp a little bit. But our guest is, supposed to be Bomani Armah. He's a hip hop artist. He's a poet. He's a songwriter, and he's also an educator. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. As always, feel free to talk in the chat. You can ask questions. Just say hi. We like to know that people are watching, paying attention. And just become a part of the conversation. What was that?
What? The fact that I can do ridiculous voices?
I don't know what that voice was. That voice needs to stay wherever it.
See, but if you alter it just a bit, it becomes Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Then it's all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, let's not and say we did.
Real easy.
All right. Before we get into the show, of course, as always, please, if you have not, go to the Strong Number Zero Kickstarter campaign. That's the link right there. All right. I'm going to actually put the link in the chat section so that anybody who feels so inclined can go right in and our guest is right here. He popped in. But before we bring him in, like I said, go to Kickstarter, support the campaign. As I said, for today only. For today, today is the last day. We are going to be doing the T'Challa t-shirt incentive. So this is it. By midnight tonight, if you ain't put in your $50 plus pledge, can't get it. Because I'm not going to be selling these because I don't want Marvel to sue me. So it's incentive only.
Too late. They already know they're coming.
I know, right? They're coming for me.
The door. So you might as well send me one right now.
Yeah, you need to pledge $50. Anyway, so we got a good guest tonight. Tonight's guest. All right. Got to do my flowery introduction. Got to give the man his respect, his due. Tonight's guest is a quadruple threat. He's a hip hop artist, a poet, a songwriter, and he's taken all these talents and blended them together to use them as a powerful tool as an educator to work with the youth in his community. Even with all that, he's a noted activist, always looking to inspire, defend, and lift up the Black community and its culture. Let's give a stoked round of applause for Bomani Armah.
What's up, y'all? How are you doing?
What's good, man? What's good?
Thank you. I appreciate that introduction. Thank you very much.
Man, I got to make my guests feel like, they somebody. We all are somebody. What's good?
Appreciate your time.
I'm doing good, man. Continuing with my world domination plans. I'm glad to be here.
You stay trying to. Dominate the world.
Yeah, man. Today was one of those good feeling days. So I got a chance to work with young people. I got a chance to work with artists who are trying to get into working with young people. I got to hang out with my own family. I got to see the proof of my new book that I'm putting out this fall. So it's a good day. It's a good day.
That sounds like a great day.
Sounds like a really good day.
That sounds like a great day. So, welcome to a Stoked Podcast. On here, if you don't know, this is where we allow creative people to tell their story. And to get to know you as an artist, get to know what projects you're working on, and a lot of times just to have good conversation.
Cool.
But we do have a little bit of an interview process first because, like I said, we want to get to know you, and for the people that don't know you, got to give them an opportunity. So now you are a hip hop artist.
Yes.
I'm gonna do my best Brown Sugar impression. When did you fall in love with hip hop?
Hip hop was actually the third style of music that I fell in love with. It was gospel, go-go, and hip hop in that order.
Okay.
I liked hip hop when I was younger. But because my upbringing, really church household, and then from DC, a real go-go household, like I liked Cool Mo D and I liked LL Cool J, but I didn't really fall in love with hip hop probably until Tribe Called Quest. Low End Theory is like when I really was started. Like some of my first hip hop arguments was about how underrated Fife is.
Okay.
And so then like after that, my next biggest, hip hop thing was Outkast. And so like, and I was old enough. I've got peers who are the same age who are into hip hop a little bit younger than I was. But like I said, in my house, you know what I'm saying, it didn't happen as much. So yeah, it was Tribe Called Quest and Outkast. And then Outkast is definitely my favorite group of all time.
He can be here at any time he wants to. Anytime.
Jamari and I have had this argument. We've had a debate about whether you could refer to Outkast as a group.
Oh no, most definitely. No, don't disrespect
because it's like it's either a group because they're a duo, right?
Right.
There's two of them.
I got
so
you. Okay.
That's what I was talking about.
I got you.
That's where we went.
Well, you know something though, but I would say that, especially the very first album, but all of them, I think Outkast also includes the Dungeon family. Like Sleepy Brown's all through all of that. Rico Wade is through all of that. So I mean, they're two members of Outkast, but there's a whole bunch of consistency happening through that.
There's definitely a collective.
Yeah, it's definitely a collective.
Hey, listen, we love Outkast around here.
Yeah, I wanna. Definitely them. I'm trying to think the next big group that so huge Nas fan, huge Common fan, huge Ludacris fan. I think I throw people off by how big of a Ludacris fan I am.
Welcome to the group.
Thank you.
There you go.
One of the first things I did as an educator was try to break down. It was like his second or third album where like every song he would pick a rhyme pattern. And whatever rhyme pattern he did for the first verse, he would repeat that rhyme pattern for every verse afterwards. And I taught a whole class based on it. I was like, man, this is Shakespearean. You pick a form and then you stick with it. And,
it's not chicken and beer, is it?
It might be chicken and beer. I think so. I think it was chicken and beer. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to get it wrong.
I gotta go back and listen to that, man. Now I gotta go back.
How you gonna say that my phone ain't? Yeah, I gotta go back and listen to it again too. So
no, wait. That's Saturday.
But that was on the
I know. I'm trying. That's chicken and beer.
Yeah, you about to make me do a deep dive, man. You just got here. You gonna make me do a deep dive again?
I know. I'm sitting here.
I gotta come back out because I don't remember like I used to.
I gotta go back and listen to it. So
but then my next.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but then I would say my huge Fuji fan, huge. I mean, yeah, most of hip hop. I would say the next most influential group that I have to mention, like influence wise. Oh, okay. Dead Prez, huge. Dead Prez coming out my sophomore year in college, like changed everything. But also that definitely want to shout out like Scarface and UGK and but Dead Prez like changed.
This man name dropped Dead Prez.
Yeah. I know.
Nobody.
I haven't heard. I haven't thought about Dead Prez in a while, but I remember at the time.
I have both albums. Yeah. The first two. Those first two albums, I have them autographed.
I got a chance to open for them one time. Man, they're big, huge influences.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask. Now you know what? I'm gonna wait because I told you if you haven't watched the show before, at the end of every show we do a top 5.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hold off on the question that I want to ask.
I'll tell you right now. Don't.
Well,
no, I just wanted to put this out because I took this back at one point. Stickman is higher on my top 20 top MC list than I think most people think he should be. But I think he so consistently raps about very relevant things. Like the man puts out workout hip hop albums.
Yes,
crank.
Yes, he does.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? So like. I think people sleep on like the practicality of his hip hop and like it's real. He raps about real life. Like everybody's like, it's real, the streets. Like, yo, we trying to stay healthy. Black men dying at 55. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
preach.
Yeah. Nah, he's on it.
What's up, Ryan, man? Welcome to the show, man. I hope you're enjoying the show today. So what artists do you like now? Because you mentioned a lot of guys that's like from our era.
Yeah,
but you didn't even mention anybody now, man.
So I'm not like I don't hate on anybody from the younger generation, but I have just got to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm that generation who's like, what are these kids doing again? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I used to pride myself as an educator and a hip hop artist to stay way more on top of the game. There are definitely some younger rappers I like, and I'm doing a horrible job of thinking. I'm like, the ones that I can think of are cats that I know personally that should be bigger. Like Malpractice, that's my little brother from DC, great rapper, the poet laureate from a couple years ago. He's just started doing battle raps. He's crushing it. I just got put on to Kenilworth Katrina. I really like her a lot. And then also young rappers to me, I might actually still be old to everybody else.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
You know what I'm saying?
On that because I deal with kids. I teach high school. And
okay.
Do you find it hard? Do you find it hard to stay relevant with kids because it feels like it evolves too fast now?
You know something? Well, so I've gotten to a different comfortable stage, especially like how I do hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
The way I do hip hop, and because I'm a grown man, and I don't know, I think I look young for my age, but I'm realizing I might really look grown to like kids now.
Yes, exactly.
I present my rap as like, this is your dad's rap, and I have to be completely comfortable with it and not be like, oh, I'm trying to be, down with y'all. I'm not doing a shoot, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, I do, like, as a fan of Black music and as a fan of understanding American hip hop culture, I do know it's my role as that I'm not going to understand young people's music. And that doesn't mean young people's music is bad. You know what I'm saying? One thing I do when I talk to 8th graders all the time. Yeah, but listen to it.
I know.
We are the people who grew up on 2 Live Crew.
Right.
And grew up on all they telling kids, like, what are y'all listening to?
Okay, but
you know what I'm saying?
Okay, hold on.
Our parents,
I'm gonna bring my own
parents
man.
Were the ones who came up on
I hear
Little
you.
Richard.
I hear you.
And now, their parents are like, what are y'all? What is? You know what I'm saying? At some point, we just gotta be.
But there's a lack of this is just my opinion. Okay, so I'm gonna just state this as fact, and this is me because most people know I'm an old man at heart. But there's a lack of like lyricism. Like what we would hear before, not with everybody, because you have the J. Cole's, the Kendrick Lamar, you got those guys that are holding the flag of, look, you need lyrics, you need to be clever, you need to say something. But like with a lot of these other rappers, it's like they got empty calorie songs, man. Like.
So this would be my argument then, and I'm a little out of the loop to really back it up with evidence like I used to be able to. My argument is usually that hip hop now is being done at a higher level on all 4 stages than it's ever been done. All right, they're better rappers, they're better DJs, all the skills are being done better.
You think they're better rappers now than ever?
Yes. I think I don't understand what art form devolves. No art form devolves. Usually the next generation can do all the things the previous generation can do, and then something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but I would say
your criticism is of the radio. Your criticism isn't of hip hop. It's of the radio.
Okay.
And I don't know what kind of language I can use on your podcast, but I can describe.
I get what you're saying. I hear you.
I think what makes it, what the gatekeepers allow is the lowbrow, is the non-lyrical. You know what I'm saying? And I do think it takes a little bit more effort as a hip hop fan to find the people who are really rapping. But I honestly think in your hometown, there are cats who, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right.
But I think the radio
is off the
cliff. You know,
I would argue that it has become. I feel like hip hop, and since you are making a very big distinction, has, in some cases, I would say that it's become more influenced by outside forces.
Yeah.
And so
I can agree with
I can see where you could say that, the art form when it comes to MCing, when it comes to DJing, coming to creating your beats and everything else, all of that stuff definitely has, I guess, it's lost some of the very distinct elements that we grew up with, and it has gotten you have stuff coming in, more Afrobeat sounds. You're hearing more electronic sounds. You're hearing people with different influences that have given it a different sound, particularly in the mainstream.
Right. I agree with you, but I also think there are so many people doing hip hop that you can find people making hip hop this year from the style of hip hop that you like. You know what I'm saying? If there's a time period that you like, 92, 94, 96, 2004, you can find someone who's doing it. It takes a little bit more effort on and I also don't want to I don't want to like stuff on the radio can be hip hop, but I'll tell you what, the generation I think that we like, the 90s, that was the last generation that the streets told the suits what were hot. And now it's the other way around.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I do think we need to be careful of calling popular culture, like hip hop is in popular culture, but pop culture doesn't decide what's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I agree with you. I stopped listening to the radio. I'm tired of hearing.
I'll say this though. Hold on. I'll say this though. I agree with you about beats because beats now are infinitely better than beats back in the especially in the 80s. I mean the 90s. I would kind of disagree with you on that because you had guys like Pharrell and Timbaland. Like Timbaland is the to me. Timbaland is the line of demarcation, right?
I want to teach a class on how the world changed after 1 in a Million. Like there's making music before 1 in a Million, and then there's making music after 1 in a Million.
I would if you ever do that, please.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Please
I completely agree with you on that.
Me and you right there. I've always felt that way. To me, it was like. But I can't remember what came out first. Was it 1 in a Million or Super Duper Fly?
Ooh,
I think Super Duper Fly might have been afterwards, but even 1 in a Million is more of the staccato thing that we like. And trap is definitely a distinctive thing rhythmically than like early 2000s, but it's not that far off of what Timbaland was doing. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a whole new genre. It's just like that, and it's like, oh, Timbaland took it, and then they took it to a whole nother level. But then I agree about what you said about the beats being better, and it's not even about the old beats being bad. It's that producers can see like, oh, you did that, I'm gonna do that plus this. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a level of creativity that is now that wasn't. I don't know if it would have been allowed back then, because once again, like referring to like Timbaland had like Timbaland was putting like Raptor sounds in his beats. This dude had a baby. He took
the little baby. Yeah,
the dude had a baby crying.
Little motor outside of a baby doll and made that beat.
Like to me, like he's the GOAT in my opinion. He's the GOAT producer. Like can't nobody hang with Timbaland. But
I agree with you. I think there's, like you said, there's a demarcating line before and after Timbaland.
Yeah, but what I'll say about the
a big line too.
Hold on. What I'll say about the rapping is I agree with what you said. Like the streets dictated what was hot, and the suits said okay, and then they took it and ran with it. But I think that's what I mean by now. And like you said, you ain't on the radio, you're not, everything on the radio to you is kind of like prepackaged, like, this is what a suit thinks is hook, like hip hop. But that's why I will put, and that's why I say there is a de-evolution there because it's reversed, the mainstream from like what I'm gonna say like 80, not even 85, like 89 to about 2012. No, earlier, like 2008. I would say like 2008. Like that to me was like, because that's when, because remember, even in 2008, you had Hove and DMX and all these dudes were at their height. Like they were still like, big dogs in the game. But then like the type of people who became big dogs, the level of lyricism that was required for them to be big dogs
Right.
dropped.
What I honestly think though is like even from like the era that I fondly remember the most is like 92 to 98 and maybe a little later than that. It goes all the way to now. I still like that music. But it's not that there were better lyricists. It's that than there are now. It's that the dope lyricist and the nonsense lyricist had the same amount of airtime. You know what I'm saying? Like
Who would you
Public
consider
Enemy,
being nonsense
Absolutely.
lyricist though?
Two Live Crew. Like at the end
Yeah,
of
but
that
they
era.
but they were gimmicky though. Like I think we all knew
That's
at the
what I'm,
time they were
and that's
but I
hold
think
on,
that there was a different amount.
hold on. But we should be careful about gimmicky. Hip hop is party music. Hip hop is
Okay.
shake your butt music. So it is gimmicky, but it is like that is we were getting together to have a party. So it is very much also very much hip hop. But
Okay.
it was like
There.
I felt like there was a more balanced idea of because hip hop is black music and blackness is not, as we all understand, is not a a monolith. And I feel like the mid 90s hip hop before and I feel like, and this is what I was trying to remember something I was thinking earlier. And I feel like I've gotten this vibe when I used to talk to kids about my own music or people about my music. I feel like the stereotype and the expectations of what hip hop is has turned everybody into a rap A&R instead of a fan. And what I mean is people will listen to a song and instead of being like, I like the song, they'll be like, do the people like this song? Is this the kind of song that people are into? I've had people be like, I like your music, but I don't think my peers would like your music. And then all their peers would be like, I like your music, but I don't think. I'm like, oh, you all think your peers are idiots. And you don't want to say, I like this alternative thing because you don't, you know what I'm saying? And so I think the once we blew up, like, the super thug as like what it means to be hip hop, then people started being like, all right, are you making good hip hop or are you fitting the thing that we think is, you know what I'm saying? It became a weird thing where we're not trying to find the art form anymore. We're just trying to figure out, oh, can we predict the next hot thing? And we know this is what people like. And so we're gonna elevate this because we know that's gonna be the next hot thing because that's what people seem to have liked before, instead of just being honest, intakers of the art form,
I think there's another line of demarcation too, though, for me, is to me when R&B and rap like merged into this homogenous like blob of music.
Who would you use as the fulcrum point for that? I know who I would, but who would you use for the fulcrum point of that?
I don't want to dog Holmes because he was putting out hits, but T-Pain, man.
No.
Oh, no, no. I got you. No, my bad. Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yes.
Okay.
After the Timberland class, no, before the Timberland class is the Bone Thugs and Harmony class. Thugs and Harmony is
Tim was dropping hits back then.
No, but Bone was first. Bone was before them. Bone was like 4 or 5 years before Timberland in the late 90s. Bone was like mid 90s.
Bone was before.
Yeah.
Okay. You might be right.
And
you might be right.
I argue this all the time, and it's exactly for the reason you said. Their influence on hip hop and their influence on R&B. Mariah Carey, Beyonce, all of them. A lot of their hit songs are more Bone than they are a
yeah. Especially Mariah. Mariah and Beyonce
really. You could study a big time because
when she did that thing with Bone, she did that song with Bone, and then she was kind of Bone from there on.
Yeah,
she became the sixth member of Bone.
That was a hot album though, Butterfly. That was
no doubt.
I was just saying,
but I also, what with the singing rap thing that we do now. This is another reason a discussion when I try to I'm really big into like I can see the demarcating lines between generations musically, but I also as a young person transitioning to an older person, I want to get rid of the idea of being like, oh, this new generation is doing something completely different than us. Like, no, it's part of the, and so I completely see, like, we hear the sing-songy rap and we hear the up-tempo hi-hats, and I think a lot of people in my generation are like, oh, this is a new thing. And I'm like, no, this is all what we loved from Bone and all that we loved from Timberland, and just highlighted and expanded on more.
You know who really had a large hand in the merging of and it's not even really T-Pain, because I don't know if you, Jamari, you and I talked about that T-Pain documentary You know, the one where he was talking to Usher, and Usher was like, "Man, you messed it up for."
Yeah.
It was really Kanye.
See, and I'm about to bring that
because
part
T-Pain, because like T-Pain was doing it, but like it wasn't like it was T-Pain's thing. But then when Kanye dropped that album, you know, what is it, 808s and
that's what I've been holding on to this whole time. 808s and
808s.
Like
then it was like everybody's
that
like, "Hey, give me an auto tuner and let me ride," and then it became auto tune everything.
Yeah,
that was what I was going to ask your thoughts on. Is that the album that shifts things and ushers us towards our current era?
It seems like it, and I'm also like, I respected and liked that album as a piece of art. I saw, as everyone's seen, the art has shifted that direction, and I don't know if I'm like happy about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm not.
Like,
ask anybody. Ask anybody. I don't think
Kid Cudi gets enough credit for the direction it went. I honestly, I honestly think Kanye West might be the greatest producer of all time in the classic hip hop sense. But I think he gets credit for inventing things he didn't invent. I think he's a great producer. Great producers are like, I know what's going around. I know enough about lyricism. I know enough about harmony. I know enough about beat production. And I think no one in history, very few people in history of hip hop have been able to figure out all those elements together. But I think we call things like Kanye beats, and they aren't Kanye. Like, they aren't, we think of things as Kanye style beats. And like, I remember the very first thing we called Kanye style beats was sped up samples. Yep. And I'm like, that's RZA beats, right? Isn't that RZA? Or like, you know what I'm saying? So Kanye was very, very, very good at it, and he's the producer is supposed to know everything that's going on in the studio, and I think he's definitely really good at that. But like, none of the elements was he's very good at seeing, and I think that's probably why he's good at the other things that he does artistically, is that he has the eye for what's going on. But I think he gets credit for things that he didn't actually invent. He just was like, oh, I see where that is, and let me take it further, you know.
So this is a good transition point, because you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry.
No, go for it. This is a good transition point, because you are an educator, and as I said, you've kind of used hip hop as a tool to teach and to reach, you know, young people. What inspired you to enter the field of education?
I left high school wanting to be a teacher. I went to the University of Maryland to be an education major. I was inspired by my teachers in general. My choir teacher, Mr. Murphy, was like my favorite teacher. My boys and girls club coaches were like my favorite teachers. My father was a minister and a Sunday school teacher and a Bible study teacher, and I always liked that energy. And so it was like, I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be on stage doing something, but teaching would be my fallback. You know what I'm saying? So like if I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna get a job teaching. And so I went as an education and history major. And I went out to lunch one time. One of my frat brothers' moms was a teacher, and she was taking all of me and another brother who were both education majors. She was like, "Why do you want to be a teacher?" I was like, "Man, I'm such a big fan of history, and I hate the way history was taught to me in high school. And I want to get my degree in history education and go teach these kids the proper version, especially African-American kids, teach them how history really is." And she said, "Oh, baby, that's cute."
Like, oh, Popo,
poor little Ting.
Oh, little Ting.
She's like, "You're not really gonna be able to do that. You're gonna have way too many hoops to jump through." And that really turned me off to the idea of being a teacher the way I had imagined it at first. The way teaching is like presented to me all the time. She wasn't completely right. My best friend since 10th grade became a teacher, and when I would go in his classrooms, there would be pictures of Marcus Garvey all over the wall. So you know, it wasn't completely out the box, but it did stop me from being like, you're right. You know, I have an idea of how I want to be an educator. So I dropped out of school eventually to be a full-time musician, had some success as a musician. And then when that started to wane a little bit, the easiest jobs for me to get, and the stuff that when I say easy job, I'm like, it was pretty good money. And I like to like my 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? I would take less money to not drive myself crazy. I like working with kids. And I was working at Martha's Table Teen Program on 14th and W Street at the time. And they had a program there called Crushed Ice. They didn't pay me a lot, but they gave me a budget where I bought video and audio equipment, and we made albums and music videos with kids. And that got me inspired. To be even more of a art educator. And I was a hip hop artist, but I was less of a front man until I started working with these kids. And I'm like, you know something, if I'm gonna do this full time, I got to figure out how to do the raps myself. I was like the guy who did like the spoken word piece on the side, you know what I'm saying, and made the beats and played the drums. But I was like, if this is my full time, I need to sharpen all my tools. And so I've grown as an artist since then, you know.
Well, that's great, man. I think every creative artist has that same journey of, I want to do this, but I need something to fall back on. And then you just kind of try to find a way to do the thing that you fall back on, but also do the art with it, so you don't lose your mind.
Right. And I will tell you, it ends up not being a fallback, because even as I was trying to figure out how to be a hip hop artist, like I knew when I was a young hip hop artist that I didn't fit any of the stereotypes or the molds of what a hip hop artist would be. And so I was trying to figure out what me being a viable professional full-time, I pay all my bills, I live in a house and I pay all my bills from rapping and making beats, like what would that look like? And if I had tried to imitate what I thought that would look like, I would have never been successful. But fortunately, the path has taken me where I'm just like, I feel like I'm this real authentic educator, musician, you know what I'm saying, who didn't have to front and be more of the other than, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm really in a really good position right now. Yeah.
Jamari?
So what is your what are the things that you do primarily when it comes to education, and how are you bringing your bringing hip hop into the classroom specifically? I want to know how that.
You asked that question on a very good day. I just got my proof back from Black Classic Press in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. This is my writing journal for my bars writing process. All right. So I'll show you the back. I perform all over the country, and kids are always asking me for autographs. So now I'm going to give them my photo on the back of this joint and sign it. You know what I'm saying? It's my headshot. But on it, but on it, it says the quote I want to be famous for. Rapping is the art and engineering of language divided by math. Rapping is the art and engineering of language divided by math. All your favorite MCs, and there's a whole bunch of aspects of hip hop that I use, but the part that's getting the most attention right now is that quote is based on like all the elements you saw there. All your favorite rapper uses art, engineering, language, and math when they rap, if they're aware of it or not. What I've learned to do as an art integration teacher is figure out what the art, the engineering, the language, and the math is of rapping, and use that to teach those subjects. So we're learning how to rap, and we're learning the writing process through rap, but we're also learning other topics you need to learn in class. And so basically what my biggest job has become is giving my teachers excuses for why there's a rapper in their classroom and why they are rapping in their classroom. And the easiest way to do that is to find the educate. You know how we all think our best rappers are brilliant and could have done any job. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what I'm doing. Like, hold up, my executive assistant is creeping up on me.
It's all right. Hey.
Hey. Oh, okay. You gotta let me finish the conversation. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So I'll come upstairs in a little while, okay?
I'm pretty sure my son will make an appearance as well at some point.
That's how it works, right? That's how it works. So like when I'm working with kids, this is me talking to grown folks with the real like didactic educational part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more fluid. But like this workbook walks a student through writing 16 bars of rhyme. And what happens is I have different lessons that I do. I do something called the writing process lesson, where we just write a typical hip hop rhyme. I have an engineering design process lesson where we follow the 5 steps of the engineering design process and talk about learning how to do that as we create a rhyme. I have the Frederick Douglass Writing Club, where we write a rhyme about stuff that we learn about Frederick Douglass by doing all these in-person things. I'm working on a Harriet Tubman version and an Ida B. Wells version, but all of them using the same journal, and we give kids prompts and they just follow the instructions and fill out the blanks. And if you've never, it's designed so that if you've never written a rhyme, if you follow the steps by the end of it, you've written a rhyme. But it even shows you, like, I don't know if you can see this, but there are charts where I show you how to break down each line as syllables into number bonds. And because basically the way you rap to a beat is a math equation. You have 4 boxes that you're trying to get how many syllables in. How you decide to chop up those syllables is basically like coding. It's like algebra. It's basic math. And so, I mean, a lot of people, especially if you come up in Black music, we have like natural rhythm from just doing, 2 steps all the time. But I've learned from working in communities all over the place where they don't go to church on Sundays all the time and do a 2-step, that it can be taught, especially through math. So, yeah, no,
do you have a website for this stuff?
So BabaGotBars.com. BabaGotBars.com. And this book is highlighted in the first song you'll see when you go to my website, called The Writing Process.
Okay, we got that up.
Yeah. So so that's what I do full time. I have different lesson plans for like 3rd grade and up, and then from pre-K to 2nd grade, because as teachers have taught me, from pre-K to 2nd you learn to read, and from 3rd and up you read to learn. And so when I'm working with 3rd graders and up, they have this program where we're writing rhymes, and I can show you videos of the kids doing this. It's great. And then for the kids younger, we spend a lot of time learning about syllabication, the sounds that vowels make, how to use number bonds to create rhythms. There are thousands of kids around the country now who rap the alphabet backwards because they've taken my class. You know what I'm saying? We have fun with stuff like that. Another really fun example is like everyone says the alphabet to the exact same rhythm, right? We all know it: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? What we have fun in my class is we write a remix to the alphabet. The way we do that is the first line of the alphabet, there are 4 bars. The first bar of the alphabet has 5 syllables: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7 syllables.
You're
right?
doing a Janet Jackson. 5, 4, 3,
2, 1.
The way we say it is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that, right?
Yes.
But what if we change the rhythm? Instead of 2, 2, 2, 1, we do 3, 0, 3, 1. Then it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You have a whole new rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you change up the ratio and the fraction and the number in it, you have a whole. And like I really can't wait till I get into this next level, because like I honestly believe if you chart how hip hop rhymes are written and how they are flowed, if you laid out everyone's rhymes ever since 1978 all the way to 2022, you can see a graph that'll show you how consistently the flow of hip hop changed. Like back in the day in the 80s, everyone would take 12 syllables and make it last a whole bar. It would be like Curtis Blow, as I come in the house and I do the thing and it da 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 bum bum bum. That's math. Everyone's doing the exact same rhythm. But then if you do now, everyone's not the exact same rhythm, but a closer to rhythm, the style. But if you do now, the rhythm is da 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 da. Da, 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 da. And you could see that on a if you chart it out well, you could see it mathematically. You know what I'm saying? And that's all rhythm and music is. Humans love rhythm. Humans love patterns, and rhythm is the easiest way to get patterns in our head all the time. That's why it drives us crazy and we love it so much. And so this has been my way to sidetrack my way into the educational career. I quit when I was a sophomore in college.
Hey man, that's beautiful. I'm sitting here trying to I'm doing it in my head while you're doing it. I'm like, okay.
And all right. And I dropped y'all off in the deep end of the pool.
You really did. Like I'm over here, like man. I was told there'd be no math.
You're doing a more fun version of something I'm always trying to show my students when it comes to writing and reading itself, and trying to explain how. They essentially I try to get them to understand that you already know what good writing looks like. You know what it is. You just don't know the technical elements. And I'm going to teach you the technical aspects of why. If I put 2 things talking about the same thing, if you're talking about two, if I got 2 articles talking about the same thing, or if I got 2 people talking about the same subject, why is one person more effective? You already know when you hear it. You can already tell. Or you can read it and tell, but most people don't know why. They couldn't explain it to you right off the bat.
Are you teaching? You're teaching the writing process?
I teach English. Yeah.
Have you seen my writing process video?
No, because I want now. I need to have some back and forth conversations
Right.
with you.
So now I gotta hijack your show for a moment because I'm gonna just show you the course to my writing process. So,
Let's
so it goes like this. I would do the whole thing and teach you to dance, but I'm just gonna show it to you. Hopefully you'll catch on and like it. All right. So it goes like this. When I want to write something and my thoughts are all a mess, I put it all together with the writing process. I got thoughts I must express or issues I must address. The way to do it best is the writing process. It goes pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing, pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing, pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing, pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. All right. And so this book breaks down all 5 of those steps. Each move means something in particular, and it shows how every well-written thing, whether it's a song, whether it's a book, whether it's an essay, you follow those 5 steps. I tell my students, I want those 5 steps stuck in your head before you leave my class. Somebody else will catch you up on the other stuff if necessary. But yeah, just trying to get those ideas, just hammered into their head with rhythm and rhyme.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is on YouTube.
Yes, it is. Yes, go to babagotbars.com. Yes.
So since we're going to talk about YouTube, I have to bring up another thing that's attached to you, sir.
All right.
I think you know where I'm going with it.
Yes.
Yeah. So turns out you're part of a very viral thing. And I didn't know this until I go and start doing research on you and looking through your socials. And I see where you call yourself Mr. Read a Book. And I was like, wait a minute. And I go have to look up. And I go look up and see that you are responsible for something me and my friend shared for about 2 years and quoted each other, the Read a Book song.
That's hilarious.
Sir.
That's hilarious.
Okay. Can I get a preview of this? Can somebody say a couple bars?
Do you know you don't know the Read a Book song?
I don't.
See, I love it. And so, you know what's really weird? So you don't know about he doesn't know about Read a Book, and you didn't know about what I do now, right? I know some people who think that I do my educational thing now as a part of Read a Book, and they've never because it sounds like they should be connected, but if you really know them, you're like, no, they're not really connected at all. So I don't know if you remember.
Is this what you be saying all the time, Jamari?
Read a book, read them. Yes.
Oh, okay. I've heard it. I've heard it a lot.
Yeah, that's back when Little John ran the world, and that was remember I was telling you
he did.
So I told you my first hip hop education job was with Martha's Table. We were working on the Martha's Table album, and I had already laid down the chorus of the majority of the song, but the people you hear yelling in the background were like 16, 17, 18-year-olds who were taking my class. Okay. And so and they were the ones who helped me they helped me with my diction. You'll find this hilarious. I grew up in the suburbs, so I was pronouncing the MF word. I was pronouncing it way too correctly, and they were like, "Mom." I was like, "Oh yes, you're right. I knew this. I've just been teaching English. I've been working on my English too much." But they helped because I could have messed up the whole song, and you know what I'm saying. But they
my friend pointed out that they played it when you came to SCAD.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I'm putting 2 and 2 together, and I'm like, okay, I remember this now.
So I don't promote that song anymore. I'm not ashamed of it or anything, but it's not really like it was a joke. It was a joke based. It wasn't. I think some people took it as me really trying to get like I mean. Nothing in the song I disagree with, but I really just wanted to point out that me and my friend, while sitting in the basement one night, unlocked the key to Lil Jon. You know what I'm saying? And that is, you put anything to the drums, and then my boy was like, "You've got to curse, you've got to be repetitive, and you've got to threaten people with whatever you're saying, and resist any urge to actually rhyme." Just make sure you're yelling, threatening. And see, I was like, well, if you can do that, you can say positive stuff. And so we were just like, yeah, raise your kids. And then at one moment, I realized that you could say READABOOK. And that's when we were like, oh, wait a minute, no, this is a thing for real. So then I went and made Beethoven's Fifth Symphony crunk and put it on my MySpace page to tell you how old it is.
Wow.
And it took off from there. It was a blessing and a curse. I should say it's a blessing, and a curse, because it's definitely more of a blessing than a curse. But between that song came out and went viral, and maybe right before that or at the same time, another colleague of mine, a friend of mine, Melody and the Rados, had me do a feature verse on one of his songs, and he put a lot of money and energy in it. Had it on BET, right? So I had that song on two songs on BET, songs on MTV, and this is me in my basement making rhymes and putting them out. So like the young 20-year-old version of me was like, that's all it's gonna be. I'm gonna come up with something in my basement. I'm gonna put it on a thing. I'm gonna put it on MySpace, and it's gonna go viral. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing that I kind of like hit lightning. I had caught lightning in a bottle once, and then you know what I'm saying. And I had somebody with a budget the other time. And so, but I do think, but it bolstered my confidence that I could do it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, I tasted this for a moment, and if I stick to this, you know what I'm saying. And I think I went through some, some times where it wasn't making the kind of money it is now, but like that really like made me realize that I could do this. But then I also I didn't want to make a career out of poking fun at Black culture. Like, I have no problem doing it every once in a while, but I got offered like major, like I was sitting in people's offices who had like terror squad plaques behind them and everything. You know what I'm saying? They were like, yo, we want to sign you. He's like, when can you do another read a book? I was like, I'll do it if the moment strikes. Like, I'm not going to go hunting for read a book. I don't want that to be, you know what I'm saying, my whole thing.
You'd be chasing the algorithm right now, like
exactly.
So many people on YouTube, and you wouldn't have even realized, because that was before we all knew
exactly.
Hey, I just took a real quick peek. I remember that video now. I remember it very clearly.
Yeah.
I remember that very clearly.
And it did cross my mind what you would, how we would feel about it, and I even hesitated to even bring it up, but you clearly made the reference in some of your recent social media, so I decided to risk it, and it's very interesting. It's interesting as you explain the story of how that came to be, where you saw where that could possibly go, and why you chose not to just completely lean into that whole bit, because there are so many people that we clearly see would have done exactly that, and we see the versions of that now.
We see them doing it now.
They are chasing.
They're chasing that one time they caught that. Yeah. I think I have other ones. I think I have other ones like that. That will come up, but not if I'm forcing it. You know what I'm saying?
And then you bring up the whole aspect of you don't want to just sit there and make a complete career out of poking fun at Black culture, because clearly the world loves when we do it ourselves.
Right.
So that's a testament to you and your thought process. You was kind of predicting the future and didn't even realize
it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. You know something? I hadn't thought about this till you said it, but it reminds me of that Dave Chappelle moment when he was like, "Now, why are they laughing at me?"
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then and so like, yeah, you want to make your points and you want to be controversial, but you got to make sure people are laughing at you for the reason,
for the right reason.
Yeah.
It goes from, are you laughing with me or are you laughing at me? That was Dave's issue, and he was right though. I mean,
Yeah. I also thought it was funny that he always says now that it was hard for him to watch Key and Peele do his show. So I don't know I know he means more than exactly what he says when he says that.
Yeah, but even Key and Peele, I
like them.
I know I like Key and Peele too, but it is definitely a significantly different tone than Dave Chappelle's was.
They were doing some definitely.
They were leaning into things that they are continuing to lean into now. Like you clearly could tell that he liked horror movies.
There were some dark undertones in a lot of their.
He was way darker than darker than anything.
I've seen the trailer and the title of his new movie. The title of his new movie is the blackest horror title of all time. That is the blackest horror title.
I haven't seen the new trailer yet, but I am.
I'm not into horror movie. I watch his horror movies.
Exactly. I am the same way. I hate
because when I watch
his
other
horror movies.
When I watch other horror movie trailers,
Get Out wasn't really a horror movie.
Oh, yes, it was.
Get Out was like a thriller.
It was one of those mental type of like, it wasn't one of those everybody's getting stabbed up.
It was a psychological thriller. Yeah. Like Us was a little closer to a horror movie.
Yeah.
But even that was more like a thriller.
He's definitely he's more Hitchcock than
he's way more Hitchcock.
I understand. I completely understand why you say that. The reason why I say it is because so much of that movie is a nightmare for Black people. So that is why I look at it as as damn near a perfect horror movie in a lot of regards. But if you take the way it's set up and the tone of it, I agree with you.
Got you. And then I also want to maybe bring this back full circle. I also realizing more and more how like my current art project that I'm doing more and more, the Watermelon Man, is a response to read a book. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just always being like, instead of completely making fun of Black culture, being like, what parts of Black culture do we need to like re-examine and make sure that we're comfortable with our own, our own Blackness. I tell people all the time, I think I say this on social media all the time. I feel like I have an advantage living where I live in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, mostly DC and Maryland. We have a comfort in our own skin. We're still Americans, we're still African Americans, and there's still a level of discomfort that comes with that. But we have a comfort in our own skin that I realized from talking to my relatives outside of this area that they don't have. And I realize it's because we see Black people at all their levels. You know what I'm saying? We're not like, oh, Black people got to represent all the time because but so many of us and blah, blah, blah. Like, nah, the black people here are like the judges and the crackheads. You know what I'm saying? We're like, and so I wish that kind of that I feel like I have a comfort in my own Black skin that could be even more comfortable, which is why I want to move to Africa. But I wish that comfort on a lot more people. So I want to have a more open conversation about why we feel uncomfortable in our skin sometimes. And I think some of it is trying to stay away from negative stereotypes. And we got to realize that watermelon was never a negative stereotype.
So you just brought up.
Hold on, let me go, Jamar. Hold on. Let me go, man. I wanted to kind of circle back a little bit. What so you're merging, you merge hip hop and education to be this, this effective teaching tool, right? What roadblocks did you run into, if any? Because I know that the educational system can be we don't like to take chances. Like, what roadblocks did you run into?
Great question. I would tell you that I'm probably the last teaching artist who had to pretend like they weren't doing rap to bring rap into the classroom. And what I mean is, like, even if you look at my old promotional stuff from the organization that books me, I would be like spoken word. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like poetry. I've got my mentors, the guy who brought me into Martha's Table. He had been doing this through the 90s. I've been doing it from like 2000 on. But he was like, he made it easier for me to come in with it because he had already broken down these things. But then the other thing that's interesting, and this is great, this is just how time marches on. Now, for the last 15 years, when I come in and I want to talk about bringing hip hop into the classroom, the principal is already a Biggie fan. You know what I'm saying? At the least, they're a Melly Mel fan. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm no longer talking to a jazz generation trying to convince them that hip hop is valuable. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, your kid. And so it's just time marching on. What I'm really, and a really good question. What I'm hoping will happen is when the next genre of music becomes the popular genre of music, the transition into being part of the educational and the conversation is easier than it was for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, hip hop should have been an obvious teaching tool. Well, if it was started in 1974, by 1975, it should have been obvious. Like, hey, yo, this is like valuable. These kids are, I tell my students all the time, the number one thing, and this is why they love writing in my class, the number one job of a hip hop artist ever since the 1970s and the 1980s is to brag about yourself in your community. All right. So your number one job is to tell people what your nickname is and where you're from, and tell people why where you're from is amazing. And then they do their first draft, and it's usually somewhere between really bad and okay. And then I'm all right. Let's get better at you bragging about your neighborhood. All right. What other words can we look up? Let's open a thesaurus. Let's open up a rhyme dictionary. All right. Let's talk about simile. Let's talk about metaphor. Let's get you better at talking about how dope you are. And we spend days just doing that, right? And then after they get comfortable, like, oh, okay, I can see how I can use words as a tool. Like, all right, now let's go work on this book report about the blah 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 blah. After they've already gotten comfortable doing what MCs have been doing since the 70s, and that is using your literacy skills to try to bring light to your community. And so we start with that, and then we go into, okay, what else can we use that for? And I think it's a really easy bridge for them into realizing they can be creative and that words are important. And so I have fun. I make rap songs with kids all day, man. You can't,
I can hear it. I can literally hear like the
excitement is
there. The excitement, the passion,
the joy and passion is all evident.
Thank you. Yeah, nah, I'm definitely blessed. And like I said, I think I'm in the stage now where I wish I'd known about this when I was 18 picking college majors, and I want to make it easier for people who are artists and educators and be like, oh, this is an option. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm in more demand than there are Bomani. So I would love to bring other, find people who do this as a passion and figure out, redefine. I in one of the lines of my song, I say I'm a new age griot, art integration mogul. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where I want to go with it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm having
now. People can reach you at the website, right? If they want to. Okay.
BabaGatBars. So that's the website for the educational stuff. And I have another website that I run called notarapper.com, and that's where I put up my music that's not for the kids. I want to find a way to I say it for the adults, but that makes it sound more salacious than it is. It's not salacious. It's just the stuff that I do for the kids. Like some people, when they say kids music, they mean they're not cursing. My kids music is like has curriculum behind it. You know what I'm saying? It's like really like for the kids.
The other stuff's for the streets. Just all right. You can just say,
exactly.
There you go. Good.
The hard streets,
the hard music.
The hard streets of Mitchellville. The hard streets of Mitchellville. You know what I'm saying?
For the classroom, this for the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
This is bust ahead open music with.
Exactly.
But that's cool, man. Like honestly, like I've been, because you and I communicate a lot on Facebook.
Yeah.
We as everybody on the show for the most part who's been on this show, we have had debates of all kinds, but you initiate a lot of conversation on your Facebook page. Like you are very you might be more controversial than I get.
You be out there. You be out there. Facebook works well for me. I like Facebook a lot. I wish it was more the how it was organized monetarily was better. But I love the idea of being able to wake up and having an idea and throwing it out there, and whoever wants to respond can respond in their own time, and we can have whatever conversation we want, and then I can just stop. I can just not have the conversation. I can just be done with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I do hate when people know they're writing something controversial, and then people respond to them because they're right, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." Like, nah, bro. Like you wrote on a whole like the thing you wrote on has a comment section under it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't get it.
And a thing that clicks on that lets you know how you feel about what the person said. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're pissing people off, just be like, I'm pissing people off. Don't be like,
yeah. Like, oh man, like all you people,
what was that?
Yeah, like what are you getting mad at me about? I'm just telling the truth. Like, I got a lot of friends that are like that, man. Yeah, they're definitely trolling. What's your favorite hot take that you feel like that? I don't know, like your favorite hot take that initiated the best conversation for you.
Ooh, that initiated the best conversation. Well, okay, and this is where I'm yeah, I don't know how to do this. My favorite hot take is how it's important to not talk about Kanye.
I feel like I remember that one.
I wish I had seen this.
I feel
But the
like I
thing is, you
remember
can't
that one.
have that conversation without
Without
having a
talking about
conversation.
Kanye.
But I think it's very important that we stop talking about Kanye. And
So what you're saying is the ideal version of putting that out in the world is you make the comment and people respond, but don't actually have a comment to share about it. It's purely just yes, a bunch of thumbs up and hearts. That's it.
Yep. Absolutely.
And this is if you hate him, if you love him, no matter how you feel about him. I think it's just important that like we just And I feel like I have a list of reasons, and then that takes me out of following rule number 1.
Pretty much. Rule number 1 is don't talk about Fight Club, and you just messed it all up. You just messed it all up. I think my favorite one, and
I can't be consistent.
I don't think you and I actually talked about this. Which one was it? It had to do with the Bible.
Oh, well, that's always my favorite topic.
I know. It had to do. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find it on Facebook, but it was a conversation that you had started about the Bible, and like it was me and somebody else that kept going at it about it, but like it had like 100.
It's one of those threads where you wake up in the morning and you're like, bruh,
you're still talking to me. What are you doing? I like this one here where it's like you have never start by saying, in my opinion. If you're talking to smart people, they will know an opinion when they hear one. If you're talking to stupid people, let them think your opinion is fact. That was a good one.
My English teacher was less savage, but my English teacher taught me that. Not in less savage way, but it was like you learn. As a matter of fact, I know now you learn opinion from fact 3rd and 4th grade. You know where that really comes from, and you've seen me get I don't know if it's my favorite hot take, but it makes my blood boil. Is when we're having a back and forth and somebody goes, well, that's your opinion.
Oh my, I hate that crap. I hate it.
You really should look at it as you won.
Yes.
I mean, I do. Yeah.
I respond. My favorite response is that's an intellectual white flag. If you said that, then that means you've given up.
I like that intellectual.
I know. I like that. I'm going to take that. Oh, hey, next time I talk to Morgan, I'm going to use that. The next time Morgan says, Morgan, I'm bringing you up. The next time you say, well, that's just your opinion, I'm going to be like, I won. I
love that, especially because this is one of those fun things I get to do with my students when I'm having different kinds of conversations about stuff and they bring things up or they love to think that they know basketball or know sports. And I'm just like, you don't want to go down that road with me. Next time one of them, because I've had that where I've got that they're in that corner. They can't say anything else. And they'll say something, the young version of that. And I'm going to use that from here on out.
So
now
Javon,
you're a big sports guy.
So
Javon, go ahead.
I want to throw something at you because I'm glad you asked me about my takes on religion, right? No, well, because I want to ask your opinion on something because I've been thinking about something, right?
Shoot.
Like, so my career doing what I do as a hip hop educator is going really smoothly right now, and I think it's going to keep growing exponentially. And I love doing this, right? As you've noticed from my Facebook posts, I like throwing jabs at Christianity specifically because I feel like it has a whole bunch of inconsistencies that don't make any sense to me, right?
You do.
On my next album, I feel like I have already written a song that will be bigger than read a book, right? But it's about how I feel about religion.
Oh boy.
The Spirit spoke to me is all I'm gonna say about it.
Oh boy.
Right? And I feel like I need to be in a position because here's the thing, right? Technically, the schools that I go to cannot not hire me because of my views on religion, right? Mm-hmm. But hiring me is completely optional. So they don't even need you know what I'm saying? Correct. And so I feel like I need to be I need to make sure like this whole next album is just done exactly right. But I need to make sure that I'm in position to take, because I feel like it could be so good that it'll take over and I won't have to worry about any other money because it'll be so good. but maybe it'll just be like, oh nah, you're that guy. You know what I'm saying? So but I also don't want to leave this planet without putting this out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but so I'm just wondering, like, but part of me is realizing, and I think this is why people respond to my post, I don't think I'm that edgy anymore. I think everybody's kind of tired of this whole, like, not everybody, but enough people where, like, if I was saying what I said 30 years ago, more people would be like, but I feel like more people will be like, yeah, I mean, it's yeah, like, have you read that thing? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
we're
I would say there is a rise in people being against. How do I say this? I'm going to say this terribly, but whatever. I'm going to say it terribly, and then I'm going to explain what I'm saying.
figure out how to clean it
There's a
up. No worries.
rise in against people. There's a rise in people who kind of are against Christianity, but they're against Christianity because of people who claim it and then use it in the way that's not Christian.
Right.
Right. You know what I
I'm
mean?
not in
Like,
I'm not in that camp, but I know what you're talking
I'm not
about.
saying that you are, but I'm saying a
Yeah.
lot of people, because a lot of people that I talk to that are like, I'm never going back to church or something like that. It's always like, because so and 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 so in the church did something crazy to them,
Yes.
and
So
then it pushed
they're trying to
them.
hold on to Jesus, but get rid of the church because the church did something to them. Am I right?
Yes, like, so they'll be like, "Well, I'm spiritual," and I shouldn't have did that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's the 7-Day Adventist in me coming out.
So I'm evolving. I feel like a new philosophy, and I don't know if this makes sense. I think we need more church and less Jesus. I think what is actually
I feel like
real.
it's the other way. I would say it'd be the other way around.
No, I think we need
I'm
more
listening.
church and less Jesus.
I'm listening.
What's actual real is humans are very communal creatures. We are extremely communal. We need each other. These relationships and these things that go bad in our church relationships with authority and blah, 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 there's no avoiding them. That's just what life is.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? We just, instead of being like, I got to figure out a way to back away from human contact and figure out how to connect to this thing that I can't see, we've got to talk amongst each other and be like, yo, figuring out these relationships amongst each other is our number one priority. You know what I'm saying?
See, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. In that the church as a, because even for me, and I've talked to my wife about this, like, I love going to church because I get to interact with people, and I get to, like, I feel good seeing you, and I haven't seen you in a week, and we can talk, and you can tell me everything's good and everything. I don't agree with the less Jesus. What I would like to see, I want people to, and this is me getting on my Christian. Well, but I've always felt this way. I think the perception of what the church is needs to change, because people perceive the church as where holy people belong. A lot of people, and that's why, once again, you'll find those people like, I ain't going back to church because such
something happened.
And my point is, the church is not where holy people reside. The church is the hospital where sin sick people go for reprieve. So my thought is, when I go to church, I'm not going to church and I look around and everybody's holy. I go to church and I think everybody need to be here because they all got something going on and they ain't all right. Even the pastor, from top to bottom. So that's when people do things in the church that are not so Christian, it never takes me aback, because I'm like, that person is at church because they're broken.
And that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But that's how I look at it. And enough people don't look at it as everybody here is broken and everybody here needs Jesus.
So I guess where our philosophies disconnect is, I don't think you fix that brokenness by apologizing to the person who made you that way. I think that's an abusive relationship. Because Jesus made you what you are. God is omnipotent. He made you exactly what you are. And so the key to you being better is telling God you're sorry for being born into sin. And that's typical. That's like abusive. That's abusive. Like, you shouldn't have to apologize.
I don't look at it as I'm apologizing. I'm sorry, Jamari. And let me say this, and I'll open it to you. I don't look at it as I'm going to church to apologize. I go to church for strength to not do that thing again. Like, God forgive me, but I'm going to work to not do that thing again, because he did create us, but he provided with us. And this is we going into church here, but that's right. He provides, free will. Like, and the way and I know a lot of people go, well, God knows everything and he knows you're going to do. I've always looked at it as, we don't know what we're going to do, so we have the free will to move about wherever we want. Now, God will go, here's a red flag. Here's a red flag. Don't do this. You probably don't want to do this. I feel, because I've seen it in my life multiple times.
But it's abusive for God to toy with us like that.
Like, how is it abusive?
Here's how. Because I'm about to. I've thought this through. I have complete answers. I'm listening. I have complete answers for that. I have no problem with free will. All right, but God gave us free will and the ability to use that will to make choices that he doesn't like. And he could have given us free will, and all the things we have choices between were just like, do I want ice cream? Do I want cake? Do I want to take a shower? And all three of them, God could have been entertained and being like, oh, wow, that person did what they wanted, and none of them upset me. None of them were a crime against me. The idea that part of your will is that you can choose something that upsets God is a glitch that God made. God can make it so that you could do whatever you want with what that. How could God have not made that? What you just said right there, that's blasphemy.
But that's not really free will.
God must have. Yes, you can. You have a. I don't have the free will. I don't have the free will to fly. God has made limits on my will. God can make it so I can't rape. You know what I'm saying? God can make it so I can't lie.
But then that's not free will.
But he can say, I can laugh, or I could skip, or I could hop. I could choose between 30 things that aren't harmful, that are all free will, and none of them put me on the wrong side of God. God could have done that. He just didn't, because he doesn't, because he's entertained by torturing us. The God from the Bible is completely entertained by torture. That's why
I hear you. I hear you.
He was bored. That's where the creation story comes from.
That's where
we are his entertainment. Yeah. We are that God's entertainment.
That's where we defer. Go ahead, Jamari. I'm sorry. I interrupted.
I'm gonna use. I'm gonna kind of. I see there's a part of the agreement that both of you bring up, and it kind of. Hopefully this will bridge the gap a little.
Got you.
You talk about the community aspect, needing more church, less Jesus. And where I agree with that is there are people, and I feel like these are the best examples. As Javon says, they go to church to be recharged and to be healed. I feel like that is what the part that you're talking about, needing more church. The best examples are the people, and I've seen this even in my own mother. When she was alive, she went to church. I felt like more so to kind of get her through everything she was going through in life. So I feel like those are the best examples where they're getting their nourishment from church. And that part of it, even if you're the best, you could be the best person on the planet and still believe in God and still do the best for people, even if they don't necessarily believe in the doctrine, as you all were starting to talk about. You guys got started getting into actual doctrine pieces. So I
don't think what we're doing is doctrine. I think what our disconnect is the concept of free will.
Yeah.
That seems to be the seed. That seems to be like, okay, when you think about the concept of what God is supposed to be, like there are people who, and I'm not putting you in this category, so just let me make sure I understand. There are people who feel like God is like a joke, in that, like, you know, like for a lot of the reasons you pointed out, like God could do this, he should, like if he's so loving, then
if he loved us, he can make it so none of our choices offend him. He can make it so none of our choices and not ruin our free will. It just be that all the choices.
And so you have those people who feel like God should be doing more to prevent suffering. And I'm somebody that feels like man is made flawed. And because he's made flawed, and then you got to go into the why is hold on one second. Hold on. I'm getting there. You talk about Adam and Eve and the apple and everything like that. I think man is made flawed because God gave us free will. Because if you don't give us actual free will, then we're just the angels. And angels are supposed to be a little more on a higher level than us. But when you actually have free will means that there aren't really limitations between what you can do good and what you can do bad.
Why does it have to be good or bad? Why can't
even if I gave you
without
good
and bad being a part of it?
Let's look at it this way. If you said forget rape, all right, there's no rape.
Okay.
And I can give you all the other options. You can still take your hand and hit a woman. So like that's free will. So at this point, do we take our hands away? Like, do we walk around with invisible force fields? And once you start putting limitations on it to that degree, it becomes free will.
My first response to that is, so like whatever evil thing that you think a human can come up, and we've seen evil on news, we've seen evil in person, whatever evil thing that any human can do, that evil thought must have occurred to God first. It must have occurred to God.
Concept of that, yes.
The concept, whatever evil, the most disgusting thing one human could do to another, that had to have been God's idea first. Why didn't God just not have that idea so it would never happen in reality? The most disgusting thing you've ever thought of, it must have occurred to God first. Or omnipotence isn't a thing. So why didn't God be like, oh, that's horrible. Why not I make it so that thing never happens? What loving God allows those type of things to go into the things that he created completely from the ground up and breathe air into them. I blame everything on God. I blame absolutely everything on God.
That's okay. We can, you know what? We can,
and I mean that good and bad. I mean that good.
No.
I mean that good and bad. So
no, we can do the theological. We can do the theological discussion.
But I think you helped me out with that thing you said, brother. You said about the church, and I hadn't said this to anybody recently, at all, because I think I'm just realizing it now. The biggest example for me about why I think we need more church and less Jesus. My father was a minister. He wasn't a pastor, but he basically ran the church that we were a part of. He was a big part of it. It was very humble. He never wanted to be much bigger than he was at it. I probably, because I was his son, thought he should have been much bigger because, he was my dad, you know what I'm saying? But he basically ran this place. And so he passed away a couple of years ago. I have the tapes of his sermons sitting under my desk, and I play them every once in a while. I realize now as an older person, me and my father debated on it. Like some of his major sermon points, I completely disagree with now.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love hearing his voice, and I love hearing the people reacting to him.
Right.
One time I was listening, I wasn't paying attention, and I realized because these are tapes of him on his lapel mic, right? And I realized that he still has his lapel mic on after the service is over, and it's just 45 minutes of him hugging everyone and asking them how they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like we can disagree.
We
can disagree on it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But that's no matter how we feel about everything else, we all need to make sure, you know what I'm saying, that we have that energy. And and he was asking people specific things, like, like not enough so I can know the details. Like, yo, did you figure that thing out? I was like, oh, that's good to know, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's what it is. That's what we need. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing I know for certain is real. Is that humans need each other for that encouragement, for that, you know what I'm saying?
We definitely 100% agree on that.
Correct. Yeah. And to kind of piggyback on that, if you think about it, this is where the kind of even touching on your the concepts of free will you guys are talking about. A lot of the best and a lot of the worst things that have come out of the world are results of people really just wanting to find someone to agree with and someone to bond with. Things, concepts that we all know scientifically have been proven something else. For example, a flat Earth.
I knew he was going to go there. Yep.
But the whole thing is, and I bring that up because it's kind of more of a harmless example of a really bad take. But it's really the whole thing of sometimes we have. We're living the worst versions of what that could mean when you are desperately looking for community, because we've seen that within our politics, we've seen that within our communities itself, we've seen that within our schools people who are just looking for a community. And the best thing we can do is provide the best examples and make those as widely as possible. And I think the best potential in, at least in the church, particularly in the Black community, is when you create those spaces that welcome people. And sometimes the doctrine does get in the way.
Yeah.
I
mean, the doctrine is that you can take what you want from the doctrine. So the doctrine is very joining, but you can find the verses that tell you to be very divisive, to be like, if that person's not doing this thing, if that person's not doing this thing, cast them out. And so depending on how you feel in that day and what verse you want to draw from, you take it a whole bunch of different directions. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say my last point on this, and then I want to shift to something a little lighter.
All right, cool.
Go ahead.
Regarding the doctrine, I do think a lot of the doctrine needs to be read through the correct prism. I've always believed this. I believe that when you're reading the Bible, yes, you read the Bible, right? You read the Bible and you read like a specific doctrine. And I've always thought you have to read through the prism that God loves everyone. Like everyone, sinner and non-sinner alike. Like once you read it, like you said, this, cast the first stone, you know what I mean? Like any of these things that people like to throw around, like I'll be real, even like, the people like to throw around the doctrine about, homosexuality. People love to throw that one around. But if you read it through the prism of God loves everyone, and it says it in the Bible, he loves everyone, sinner and non-sinner alike, then you always will tinge whatever that doctrine is with love, with actual love.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I look at it every time. Like, so when somebody says, well, the doctrine says it's about homosexuality, I will always counter with, but God loves everybody. Jesus loved the man that was hanging right next to him when he was being crucified.
Jesus he loved all the Egyptian firstborn that he had slaughtered by an angel. He loved them all too.
But that was based off. See, all right, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna have you. We can have you on later. Because I want to be peaceful,
but I can't just like
Nah,
so here's my take. Can I?
Go ahead.
My comeback is this. Go ahead. My comeback is this. I feel like I believe the exact opposite. I feel that at the core of the Bible, the story is bad. It's poorly written. The God at the beginning is creating it because he's bored, and then he tortures these humans to entertain him. That's bad. The crux in the story, the turning point in the story is Abraham. Abraham is a horrible person. I mean this as disrespectfully as possible. Abraham is a horrible person. I don't follow men who abandon their mother, the mother of their child and their children. I don't abandon men who seriously consider slicing their son's throat and dancing around and setting them on fire. I don't follow. I don't ask them what they think of God. I don't care what men like that think of God. I believe the exact opposite. I believe that humans are good and that we read the Bible and pull the good from it because we want to, but at the root of it, the story is really, really bad. I believe the exact opposite. I believe you and my father are good people and find goodness in this really bad story.
I really could go in. I'm not gonna go in. But we definitely gonna have you back on because I could go. I got a comeback for that. And if we was on Facebook, I would be typing furiously. I'd be like,
no, go ahead, let's do it. This is what content is about. Let's do it.
But I wanted to do this, man. I wanted to do this top 5 because I teased it earlier.
Okay.
But before we let you go, because you're a busy man, I know your daughter already pulled you and said, "Hey, Daddy, you gotta get off."
I went to sleep at 1 a.m. I woke up at 3 a.m., drove to New Jersey, did a gig, drove back. And I'm still doing this because I get to do this for a living. So thank you very much.
That's all right. I appreciate you having on. So
no problem.
I had to ask this top 5. So we've been talking this whole time about, hip hop and everything involved with it. So you got to give me your top 5.
I'm already nervous.
There you go.
Top 5 rappers.
Lyricists.
Top 5 lyricists.
No particular order.
Okay. So My favorite rapper is Andre. I don't think Andre 3000 is the greatest rapper of all time, but he's definitely my favorite rapper, and he definitely can be in the argument greatest lyricist of all time. Since it's not in order, and since I mentioned this earlier, I actually posted this on Facebook one time, and people convinced me to take it off, and I'm putting them back on there. Stickman is in my top 5.
Okay.
All right. Who else? In my top 5.
In your top 5.
Bun B.
Wow. Okay.
When I am making children's music, I write on my whiteboard a lot of times, what would Bun B do? Wow. Because I love the added. When I rap as Frederick Douglass, I try to imagine Frederick Douglass as Bun B because I feel like he would have the same kind of, like, I believe everything Bun B says.
Okay.
I know he's not telling the truth all the time because he's a rapper, but like his voice is convincing, and I just like the way he raps and he uses big words. Okay, so I got Dre,
that's 3.
Bun B, Stickman. I'm gonna leave people out I like. Dang. I can't front like I'm not the biggest. I'm trying to pick between Jay-Z or Biggie. I'm trying to pick one of the two of them to put on there.
That's not hard, but for me,
then I would say Biggie.
Okay.
And then for my 5th, yeah, this is a really hard one because I'm gonna leave somebody off I like.
I'm actually shocked that you haven't said one, but I'm gonna wait.
I'll probably put Nas as number 5.
Wow. Okay.
Who do you think I missed? Who did I miss? Who do you think
Jamari, you want to go? Because I'm gonna do mine, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
This one's always this one. It shifts so much from day to day. I'm always have Mos Def on my list.
He almost made mine.
His Black on Both Sides changed my life.
Okay, go ahead. What's next?
And the man is like, if you listen to him, sometimes in a cipher, he sometimes sounds effortless. But who's even more effortless in a cipher? Somebody I would never want to mess with in any way, shape, or form is Black Thought, and he's one of the most criminally underrated dudes I've ever heard.
What was the second one? Black Thought?
Black Thought.
Black Thought.
That's who I thought you were gonna have on your list. I'm shocked that you didn't have Black Thought on your list.
Black Thought. If Black Thought had been a different, there's another world where Black Thought might be the hardest MC ever.
So
because of the type of music he does, people don't give him the credit he deserves.
My boy Droopy has a very good argument because he hears this argument all the time. That Black Thought is rated exactly where he's supposed to be.
Okay.
That everyone knows he's dope, and he's made the conscious decision to use his dopeness the way that he has, and so that everyone, like, if you ask people who know, like people, he might not be their favorite rapper, but everyone's like, no one's gonna be like Black Thought can't rap. You know what I'm saying? So and I've argued that 40 years from now, if we say Black Thought was the greatest of all time, I wouldn't be surprised because he's still going to be rapping 40 years from now, and it's going to be better than it is now. So if he becomes the greatest of all time, I'm not surprised at all.
All right, go. No, what's 3?
These are not in order, but
that's all right. Go through them. I want to have time to get mine.
Andre's a dude that he is so his stuff is so potent that the man is essentially retired, and he still is talked about as one of the greatest of all time. Like that, the man has come on people's songs, killed them on their own songs.
All right, give me 4, Jamari. Come on, man.
Jay-Z.
Okay.
Jay-Z has done so much, and he is like, just like you said, if you want to have that same argument about properly rated about Black Thought, he's kind of the same dude, but he could have been a whole nother MC, but he chose to do what he did.
Yeah.
And I'm having a hard time between 2 dudes. Talib and CeeLo are my 2. I'm having a hard time putting
CeeLo almost made mine. What's
the 5, man? Come on.
I'm gonna go with Talib because Talib got 2 classic albums easy and 3.
I like the fact that you had CeeLo in your mind frame though, because he was in mine as well.
All right, the only reason there's a couple of reasons why, but why he didn't quite make it over Talib. But go ahead.
All right, let me go. All right, this is off the top of my head. This is a different list than the one I did for top 5 before because I'm talking just lyricists, not just you know what I mean. So MC Black Thought. Black Thought. Black Thought. Andre 3000. Big.
Yeah. Go ahead and put Nas in there.
No.
Really?
I might have to swap Nas out for Black Thought now that you've made me.
Black Thought. What I say? What I say? Andre, Big,
Andre Biggie.
Black Thought. You know what? This is controversial, but whatever. I'm gonna run with it.
Okay.
Busta Rhymes.
I'm not gonna make an argument. I'm not gonna argue against
Busta Rhymes is criminally underrated for his ability to flow. Either he could rap fast, slow, he could rap anything. Like he could probably rap the dictionary and kill it. And then this last one is hard.
If I needed a moment and I needed someone to actually rap right now, and I put money on someone rapping right now, I wouldn't bet anybody over Busta Rhymes. Like he's just like,
so
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like
I'm gonna have to go. All right,
all
all right.
ready to go. I feel you on that.
I'm gonna have to go with Nas.
All right,
but honorable mention because I'm a fan of his, and I think he could rap a lot of people under the table. And we've already talked about him. He don't get enough love for him. Luda does not get enough love as the lyricist that he is.
Right. Let me ask you this then, because I feel like they're kind of two sides of the same coin. Busta or Luda, if you put them down, especially
I will put Busta.
It's
not Busta over Luda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over Luda.
Yeah.
But then if you're gonna do that whole equation, then
you got Big and Jay-Z then, because to me they're the same. They're two of the same.
My thought is if you're arguing because Busta and Luda, you feel like they're kind of in the same tangent.
I feel like their skill sets are very similar.
And in my head, my head just said Redman has just entered the chat.
I'm not. You know what? You know what though? Okay.
Am I right?
I still wouldn't put. I still would like. I love Redman. Like Redman. I love Redman.
And he's before them, so they have the advantage of having Redman.
He's not before Busta.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
No.
You're right.
Okay.
No, solo Busta.
Okay. But he was leaders of the new school.
You're right.
He
was
leader
of the new school. Can't be
if anything, they came around the same time.
Yeah.
But I'm almost certain Redman came out after Busta.
After Leaders of the New School.
After leading that song scenario.
Before Busta Rhymes is a solo artist. But
I think lyrically, Busta can do things that Red can't.
I'm just in my head thinking to myself.
I know what you mean.
Who came up with that wow shit? That that's Redman saying that.
No, it's definitely Redman. That's definitely Redman. Redman was like that wild dude, and then Busta came and took it to an old. But Luda's not really a wild dude. He's just a really good Luda. Now he might do it a little bit, but not to the level that like Busta took it. Busta was out there growling.
But he has that DJ animated voice, and he's over the top. But
Luda needs more love. I mean, there's a bunch of guys I could have put out. Man, there's a bunch of guys, man. But go ahead.
I'm curious about your thoughts on Inspector Deck, particularly Wu-Tang Clan, because there's a verse from Triumph that to me lives in infamy forever.
I bomb atomically.
Socrates' philosophy, yes, sir. And because this is considered one of the best verses ever in hip hop by some circles, and that none of us had any Wu-Tang anything. We had not said, they had not been mentioned today. So I was just curious about your thoughts on.
I think that's okay. Nah, I think Wu-Tang is like necessary. Wu-Tang is important, but I don't think any one individual member like fits into that conversation.
I think the closest one is Meth, in my opinion.
And you know something? Meth, bringing up another conversation. Before he had,
we gotta make it quick.
Before he had his turn for the worst, one of my biggest hip hop dreams was that Kanye West produced an album for Meth. Method Man is at his best when he's rapping on other people's songs, which to me means he needs someone to be like, yo, this is where we're going with it. And then he crushes it. Kanye, that is him all day. So a Kanye produced Method Man album, I think, would be the best Method Man album. Just to somebody be like, ooh, why don't we try this? And Method like, all right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to thank you for coming on the Stoked Podcast. We will definitely have you on again. I'm not sure when we're going to finish that conversation again. I'm sitting over here like there's so many things I want to say, but I try really hard to stay away.
I have that conversation. I'm down.
I know. You know, we can definitely. I need to get you on top 5. We get you on top 5 by my other show.
Yo, he would fit.
Yeah. We gonna have to work that out. But seriously, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you giving us your time, and I've enjoyed this conversation thoroughly.
Very much.
I can't speak for Jamari, but I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
It's the same.
Jamari, thank you. Nice to meet you, brother. I'm glad we had this conversation. This actually, I'm probably gonna write something when I get off of this. So thank you.
That's all right. Everybody want to reach out to this man, get all of his products, all of his teaching tools. Baba
Got Bars.
BabaGotBars.com. And also, if you want his stuff for the streets, you go to notarapper.com. But once again, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everybody for coming and listening. If you are listening now or listening later, we do appreciate you. Next week, it's going. I like to keep things different. Like to keep things nice. So we're gonna have Jasmine W, designer and owner of Rascals and Roses, here to talk about fashion and children's fashion. And also she is a SCAD alumni like myself. So we definitely gonna have some conversations about how difficult it was to be in SCAD. But yes, please come back next week, 8 p.m. Eastern, to enjoy some more creative talk with creative people. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
Peace.